We've got some wonderful chestnut mushrooms, little ones, large ones, some button mushrooms. Over here we've got some flat cap or field mushrooms, they're sometimes known as. We've got these little fellows, they're called brown beech, and then some manuki mushrooms. This is a Japanese variety, and they're grown, you can get them in supermarkets, all of these varieties, pretty much throughout the year now. First thing we need to do is just check the mushrooms, and with a brush, it's the best way of doing it, is just clean off any grit, and just work your way around the mushrooms. You can also do this with a damp tea towel, and just brush them off. You never want to wash the mushrooms. Mushrooms act like a sponge, they draw in all the water, and when you try and cook them, they just release that water, and it really doesn't work. Keep them, these little fellows, just run a knife through them, cutting them down, so you really see what they are, and use every single part of the mushroom right down to the head there, nice sort of slices, again quite randomly, retaining the form of the mushroom. Now we're bringing some chestnut mushrooms. Now the golden rule with mushrooms are, the darker the mushroom, the stronger the flavour. And that comes from something that mushrooms have in them called umami. Now umami is a wonderful, wonderful flavour, and it's what gives that mushroom slightly intense flavour. And basically, the darker it is, the more umami, the more flavour the mushroom will have. So if you're looking for very mild flavours, you go for a little button mushroom. If you want something a bit stronger, chestnut mushrooms are perfect. Again, making sure you've got some body to the mushroom. You don't want to chop them all too fine. They tend to overcook them. There we go, we've got that lovely big chestnut mushroom. And finally, the anuki mushrooms. Same again, they're lovely little mushrooms, these guys. Just going to cut the tops off and then work the knife through the mushroom. Very, very mild flavour, but lovely texture. So now we need to pan fry the mushrooms. Just add a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon of olive oil into the pan. Now I'm going to add about 1 ounce of butter to the pan. Let that just start to melt down. Make sure the butter doesn't burn. In goes the garlic. So just keeping the pan on the hob and then just gently moving it around. Nice and slowly, you keep the mushrooms moving in the pan and you just fry them off beautifully. Just stirring around, you see they're just starting to get a lovely nutty brown colour. Keep them moving, don't let any of them burn. Now we're just going to add a little pinch of salt, using a good quality salt, a good pinch of pepper. And then these are beautifully cooked now. They really don't take long. Fantastic smells coming out of there. We're just going to add this to a bowl and allow them to cool. So we just take a little knob of butter, straight back into the pan, and in goes the spinach over the top. Turn the pan now onto a very low heat. We're just going to wilt this down and cook it gently and add a little seasoning. And this is the best way of cooking spinach, you never want to boil it. Now we're going to put this through a sieve to get rid of any excess water. We're just going to run a knife through the spinach now. Lovely. Go straight in over the mushrooms. I've got some dried breadcrumbs here. I like to use the Japanese breadcrumbs, actually called panko breadcrumbs. They've got a little bit of honey in them. You just sprinkle them in. Using a dessert spoon, you just fold them in. The breadcrumbs help sort of give it the texture you're looking for and absorb the moisture in this mixture. So a little pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper. We've got some grated parmesan, finely grated. Just sprinkle that all in. It's about 1 tub of ricotta cheese and in it goes. I've got some dried fruit and nuts going in here. And when these flavours all come together, they really are a triumph. They work beautifully together. You've got this delicious filling and it smells absolutely lovely. And just make sure it's all evenly mixed through. lay it down, then lightly brush it with a little butter. And this creates that sort of very crisp effect with the filo as it cooks. You get the layers of fat in between each layer of pastry, and it puffs up and becomes very crispy. Very straightforward. You just lay down the spinach, the ricotta, the lovely mushrooms, all the way along. Brush it around the edges with a little butter. Fold it over. And again, a touch more butter. Fold it over. And finally, you just brush it lightly with butter, and that gives it that wonderful golden brown finish. The oven's preheated to 180, so we just grab an oven tray, slip it onto that, and it's quite firm. You can just do it with your hands. Place it onto a piece of greaseproof paper or baking parchment paper, pop it in the oven. It takes about 30 minutes. So all you need to do now is lift it straight off, just nice and gently, onto a chopping board. And then using a bread knife, just slice a few slices through. Don't push down, just let the knife do the work, a bit like cutting bread, and it just goes straight through. Just do this really gently, you get some lovely slices. A couple of slices on the plate, portion. I like to turn it onto its side so you can see all those lovely mushrooms inside with the cheese. A little bit, some leaves just on the side there. I made a little mushroom sauce here. It's like a mushroom gravy, finished it with a touch of cream. You can just make a vegetable stock gravy and then spoon it over. A really simple thing to put together. Again, it takes about half an hour from start to finish. Quite delicious.